recording now. Lisa, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Lppbbsg Primary Purpose Big Book Study Group. Our study follows a 96-week cycle that begins on the title page and continues through page 164. We study spiritual experience in Appendix 2 3 times when the asterisk refers us there. We also study Dr. Bob's Nightmare and the 12 Traditions. We close our study on week 96 by studying spiritual experience as a standalone meeting. Our meeting began January 7, 2020, using this format, and we are grateful you are here to study with us. My name is Lisa, and I am a recovered alcoholic.
And my name is Trish, and I'm a recovered alcoholic.
Before we begin, please be aware that the first 90 minutes of this meeting will be recorded in audio only for our website, podcast, and YouTube channel. If you missed the study portion, you can listen to it online. Study pages will also be listed in chat. Be sure to check out the information posted in the chat throughout the meeting for our other meeting times. Any announcements for the greater good of AA for this group?
I don't think we have any this week. Hi, Rick. It's Picklepalooza time, so if anyone is in the area or wants to be in the area, feel free to swing on by.
Okay. Okay. Tonight's recap will start on page 80 and end on page 82, and it will be read by Nancy. And tonight's study will start on page 82 and end on 83, and that will be read by Joanne.
Please take a moment to settle in and get comfortable. We take our big book study seriously, and we want everyone to feel present and connected as we begin. In a moment, we'll take a 3-minute meditation followed by our family's foglight prayer. As we move into the study, please help us maintain a peaceful environment. Please be mindful of background noises when you are unmuted. If you wouldn't do it in a live meeting, please don't do it on Zoom. Also, please stay muted during other people's shares, and we will call on you on hands in the order that they are raised.
From the foreword to the first edition of Alcoholics Anonymous, we of Alcoholics Anonymous are many thousands of men and women who have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. To show other alcoholics precisely how we have recovered is the main purpose of this book and of this group. For the meditation, focus on your breath and posture, breathe in God, and breathe out self. Take this time to reconnect with God and release the day. We have our fog light prayer. Please join me in our family's fog light prayer. God, let your love shine through us like a fog light, so that those that are lost, sick, and dying can find your love through us. Amen. And let's have our secretary's report. Come on in, Kenny.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Hi, my name is Kenny. I am your recovered alcoholic secretary. I've asked Rhonda to read the recovery statement to explain why many in this group identify as recovered.
Hi, my name's Rhonda. I'm an alcoholic. Recovered. We are not cured of alcoholism. Recovered, but not cured. That presents a conflict to some alcoholics. If we were cured, we would be able to drink responsibly. No, we are not cured. The allergic reaction to alcohol will remain with us for a lifetime, but we have been restored to sanity. That was the problem. The main problem of the alcoholic centers in his mind, rather than his body, page 23. We are now sane where alcohol is concerned. Consequently, we have recovered. Thank you for letting me be of service.
Thank you, Rhonda. We meet every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. Central Time for fellowship, 6:30 p.m. Central Time for Big Book study. Chat is disabled during study so we can focus. From the forward to the second edition, page XX, of alcoholics who came to AA and really tried, 50% got sober at once and remained that way. 25% sober up after some relapses, and among the remainder, those who stayed with AA showed improvement. Joining the meeting for the first time, please raise your hand. Welcome.
I think everybody's been here before, but welcome everybody.
Okay. Now a show of hands of our recovered alcoholics. These are your potential sponsors. All right. Anyone celebrating a milestone this evening?
I don't see anybody.
If you need a big book, we can send you a large printed copy. Please let one of us know by the chat or after the meet. Please practice the 7 traditions using the link in the chat. We encourage you to get a big book and work with untreated alcoholic. Thank you. See you next week.
Thank you, Kenny. From There Is a Solution. The tremendous fact for every one of us is we have discovered a common solution. We have a way out on which we can absolutely agree and upon which we can join in brotherly and harmonious action. This is the great news this book carries to those who suffer from alcoholism. This is an open meeting and everyone is welcome. You are not required to identify yourself if you don't want to. Your anonymity will always be protected. We ask that you protect ours also. Our group is for those who want to recover from alcoholism and have the desire to stop drinking for good and all. Each member of Alcoholics Anonymous is a potential sponsor of a new member and should clearly recognize the obligations and duties of such a responsibility.
Before we begin our study of the Big Book, last week we reviewed Tradition 11. Tonight, let's take a quick look at Tradition 12. Please refer to page 562 of Alcoholics Anonymous. Come on in, Linda.
Hi, my name is Linda. I'm an alcoholic. Today we're on Tradition 12. I'm going to read the long form and I'm going to read the short form. Okay, the short form, Tradition 12. Anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all our traditions, ever remaining us to place principles before personalities. And the long form is Tradition 12. Anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personalities. Spiritual substance of anonymity is sacrifice. Subordinating personal aims to the common good is the essence of all 12 traditions. Why AA could not remain a secret society. Principles come before personalities. 100% anonymity at the public level. Anonymity is real humiliation. I'm going to read about the 12th tradition from, hold on for a moment, from the language of the heart. I just had it up. Give me a second. Okay, we're on Tradition 12, so let's see. Okay, Tradition 12. Tradition 12 from the book Language of the Heart, and this is November 1948. One may say that anonymity is a spiritual base, the sure key to all the rest of our traditions. It has come to stand for prudence and most importantly for self-effacement. True consideration for the newcomer if he desires to be nameless, vital protection against misuse of the name Alcoholics Anonymous at the public level, and to each of us a constant reminder that principles come before personal interests. Such is the wide scope of this all-embracing principle. In it, we see the cornerstone of our security as a movement. At a deeper spiritual level, it points us to still greater self-renunciation. Renunciation. Can't pronounce the word. All right. A glance at the 12 traditions will instantly assure anyone that giving up is the essential idea of them all. In each tradition, the individual or the group is asked to give up something for our general welfare. Tradition 1 asks us to place the common good ahead of personal desire. Tradition 2 asks us to listen to God as He may speak in the group conscious. Tradition 3 requires that we exclude no alcoholic from AA membership. Tradition 4 implies that we abandon all ideas of centralized human authority or government, but each group is enjoined to consult widely in manners affecting us all. Tradition 5 restricts the AA group to a single purpose, carrying our message to other alcoholics. Tradition 6 points at the corroding influence of money, property, and personal authority. It begs that we keep these influences at a minimum by separate incorporation and management of our special services. It also warns against the natural temptation to make alliances or give endorsements. Tradition 7 states that we had best pay our own bills, that large contributions or those carrying obligations ought not be received, that public solicitation using the name of Alcoholics Anonymous is positively dangerous. Tradition 8 forswears professionalizing our 12-step work, but it does guarantee our few paid service workers an unquestioned amateur status. And tradition 9 asks that we give up all ideas of expensive organization. Enough is needed to permit effective work by our special services and no more. This tradition breeds democracy. Our leadership is one of service and it is rotating. Our field tiles never clothe their holders with arbitrary personal authority. They hold authorizations to serve, never to govern, never to govern. And tradition 10 is an empathetic restraint of serious controversy. It implores each of us to take care against committing AA to the fires of reform, political or religious dissension. Tradition 11 asks in our public relations that we be alert against sensationalism, and it declares there is never need to praise ourselves. Personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and film is urgently broken. Anonymity to link AA to other causes. Oh, okay. And the temptation through broken anonymity to link AA to other causes. Tradition 12, in its mood of humble anonymity, plainly enough, comprehends the preceding 11. The 12 points of tradition are little else than a specific application of the spirit of the 12 steps of recovery to our group life and to our relations with society in general. The recovery steps would make each individual AA whole and one with God. The 12 points of tradition would make us one with each other and whole with the world about us. Unity is our aim. Our AA traditions are: we trust securely, anchored in those wise precepts, charity, gratitude, and humility, nor have we forgotten prudence. May these virtues ever stand clear before us in our meditations. May Alcoholics Anonymous serve God in happy unison for so long as he may need us. My name is Linda. I'm an alcoholic. I really don't have to say anything after this 12th tradition because it basically said it all and it summed up each tradition. And the tradition is for the program. It's for us as individuals as well, but more so for the program of AA. And as we navigate through our recovery and we're doing service, is very imperative. It's very important. It is imperative to understand traditions, and you'll understand why groups do the things they do. Why we have certain traditions. Don't divert us from our primary purpose. Don't include the AA name. With press, radio, film. Keep your anonymity. Because you're not an AA representative. There's a wealth of information in here. So I'm not going to go on, but that is the 12th tradition. Thank you for letting me share on the 12th tradition.
Thank you, Linda.
Sharon. Thank you for your service.
And next week we will have a new traditionalist coming in.
Oh boy, I wonder who that is.
I don't know.
And now it's time for That Ain't in the Book. We sometimes hear things in meetings that can't be reconciled with what's in the big book. The topic tonight is don't drink even if your ass falls off. And Billy's gonna tell us what it says about that on page 34, paragraph 2. Come on in, Billy.
Hello. Many of us felt that we had plenty of character. There was a tremendous urge to cease forever, yet we found it impossible. This is the baffling feature of alcoholism as we know it. This utter inability to leave it alone, no matter how great the necessity or the wish.
Thank you, Billy. As we study, please be sure to use your pens, highlighters, and rulers. We use the study guide prepared by Joe and Charlie and Krusty Cliff of the Dallas Primary Purpose Group to stay focused and consistent. We read the material once, then dissect it through the question and answer format. After tonight's study is read, we will ask questions from the imaginary podium. The answers will be one sentence unless otherwise specified, and multi-part questions are simply a one-sentence answer split up by commas, semicolons, hyphens, and other fun bits of punctuation. This will help us understand and apply the content clearly.
After the study, we open the meeting for comments and questions based on the pages just read. Our purpose here is to stay in the book and let the message do the work. If a share drifts into something better handled with a sponsor, we'll kindly point you that way.
You can never go wrong by commenting on the pages studied, which brings us to the words of one of the co-founders of Alcoholics Anonymous. Sobriety, freedom from alcohol, through the teaching and practice of the 12 steps is the sole purpose of any Alcoholics Anonymous group.
Before we begin the recap, we'll need 5 to 6 volunteers to read answers. And Nancy, why don't you come in and read our recap, starting on page 80. You're muted, Nancy.
Okay, Nancy is alcoholic. Before taking drastic action which might implicate other people, we secure their consent. If we have obtained permission, have consulted with others, ask God to help, and the drastic step is indicated, we must do so. This brings to mind a story about one of our friends. While drinking, he accepted a sum of money from a bitterly hated business rival, giving him no receipt for it. He subsequently denied having received the money and used the incident as a basis for discrediting the man. He thus used his own wrongdoing as a means of destroying the reputation of another. In fact, his rival was ruined. He felt that he had done a wrong he could not possibly make right. If he opened up all the affair, he was afraid it would destroy the reputation of his partner, disgrace his family, and take away his means of livelihood. What right had he to involve those dependent upon him? How could he possibly make a public statement exonerating his rival? After consulting with his wife and partner, he came to the conclusion that it was better to take no swift stand before his creator guilty of such ruinous slander. He saw that he had to place the outcome in God's hand, or he would soon start drinking again, and all would be lost anyhow. He attended church for the first time in many years. After the sermon, he quietly got up and made an explanation. His action met widespread approval, and today he is one of the most trusted citizens in his town, of his town. This all happened years ago. The chances are that we have domestic trouble. Perhaps we are mixed up with women in a fashion we wouldn't care to have advertised. Without it, in this respect, alcoholics are fundamentally much worse than other people. But drinking does complicate sex relations in the home. After a few years with an alcoholic, a wife gets worn out, resentful, and uncommunicative. How could she be anything else? The husband begins to feel lonely, sorry for himself. He commences to look around in the nightclub, or their equivalent, for something besides liquor. Perhaps he is having a secret and exciting affair with a girl who understands. In fairness, we must say that she may understand, but what are we going to do about a thing like that? A man so involved often feels very remorseful at times, especially if he is married to a loyal and courageous girl who has literally gone through hell for him. Whatever the situation, we usually have to do something about it. If we are sure our wife does not know, should we tell her? Not always would they. If she knows in a general way what we have been wild, should we tell her in detail? Undoubtedly, we should admit our fault. She may insist on knowing all the particulars. She will want to know who the woman is and where she is. We feel we ought to say to her that we had no right to involve another person. We are sorry for what we have done, and God willing, it shall not be repeated. More than that, we cannot do. We have no right to go further, though there may be a justifiable exception, and though we wish to lay down the rule of any sort, we have often found that this is the best course to take. Our desire for living is not a one-way street. It is as good for the wife as for the husband. If we can forget, so can she. It is better, however, that one does not needlessly name a person upon whom she can vent jealousy. Perhaps there are some cases where the utmost frankness is demanded. No outsider can appraise such an intimate situation. It may be that both will decide that the way of good sense and loving kindness is to let bygones be bygones. Each might pray about it, having the other one's happiness uppermost in mind. Keep it always inside that we are dealing with that most terrible human emotion, jealousy. Good generalship will decide that the problem be attacked on the flat rather than risk a face-to-face combat. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. And looks like we have enough hands for our readers, so Joanne, you want to come in and read our study?
Yes, I do.
Page 82.
I'm ready. My name's Joanne. I'm alcoholic. Start on page 82. If we have no such complication, there is plenty we should do at home. Sometimes we hear an alcoholic say that the only thing he need to do is to keep sober. Certain he must keep sober, but there would be no home if he doesn't. But he is yet a long way from making good to the wife or parent who for years he has so shockingly treated. Passing all understanding is the patient mother and wife have had with alcoholics. Had this not been so, many of us would have no home today, would perhaps be dead. The alcohol is like a tornado rolling its way through the lives of others. Hearts are broken. Sweet relationships are dead. Affection have been uprooted. Selfish and inconsiderate habits have kept the home in turmoil. We feel a man is unthinking when he says that sobriety is enough. He is like the farmer who came up out of his Saigon cellar to find his home ruined. To his wife, he remarked, "Don't see anything the matter here, Mom." And his grand wind stopped blowing. Yes, there is a long period of reconstruction ahead. We must take the lead. A remorseful mumbling that we are sorry won't feel the bill at all. We ought to sit down with the family and frankly analyze the past and we now see it, being very careful not to criticize them. Their defect may be glaring, but the chances are that our own actions are partly responsible. So we clean house with the family, asking each morning in meditation that our Creator show us the way of patience, tolerance, kindness, and love. The spiritual life is not in theory. We have to live it. Unless one family expresses a desire to live upon spiritual principles, we think we ought not to urge them. We should not talk incessantly to them about spiritual matters. They will change in time. Our behavior will convince them more than our words. We must remember that 10 or 20 years of drunkenness will make a skeptical out of anyone. There may be some wrong we can never fully right. We don't worry about them if we can honestly say to ourselves that we will right them if we could. Some people cannot be seen. We send them an honest letter, and there may be a valid reason for postponement in some cases, but we don't delay if it can be avoided. We should be sensible, tactful, considerate, and humble without being survived or severe or scrapping. As God people, we stand on our feet. We don't crawl before anyone. Thank you for letting me read.
Thank you, Joanne. Okay, for our answer readers, our batting order is Linda, Jacqueline, Rick, Joanne, Tanya, and Nancy. Speak clearly, follow the text sentence by sentence. If you lose your place, you may pass or allow the question reader to guide you. All right. All unmuted. For question answers, unmute yourselves, please. And first reader, Linda, on page 82. If infidelity is not an issue, are we home free?
And we have no such complication. There is plenty we should do at home.
Thank you. And Jacqueline, what really stupid thing do we all too often hear from an alcoholic? 2 sentences.
Sometimes we hear an alcoholic say that the only thing he needs to do is to keep sober. Certainly he must keep sober, for there will be no home if he doesn't.
Right. Thank you. And Rick, where is he with regard to his amends and to his family?
But he is yet a long way from making good to the wife of parents whom, for years, he has so shockingly treated.
Thank you. And Joanne, what passes all understanding? 2 sentences.
As an all understanding is a patient mother and wife have had with alcoholic. Had this not been so, many of us would have no home today, would perhaps be dead.
Mm-hmm. Right. And Tanya, the alcoholic is like what?
The alcoholic is like a tornado, roaring his way through the lives of others.
Absolutely. Thank you. And Nancy, what are some of the results? 3 sentences.
Hearts are broken, sweet relationships are dead, affection has been uprooted.
Yes, thank you. And Linda, what has caused disharmony in the house?
Selfish and inconsiderate habits have kept the home in turmoil.
Absolutely. And Jacqueline, an alcoholic is really unthinking when he says what?
We feel a man is unthinking when he says that sobriety is enough.
Right. And Rick, what analogy do the first 100 give us to help us see the havoc we have caused?
He is like a farmer who came up out of a cyclone cellar to find his home ruined.
Mm-hmm. And Joanne, what did the farmer say to his wife that got him in big trouble? 2 sentences.
To his wife, he remarked, "Don't see anything the matter here, Ma." And his wind stopped blowing.
Yeah, thank you. And Tanya, on page 83, what lies ahead?
Yes, there is a long period of reconstruction ahead.
Absolutely. And Nancy, who must lead the way?
We must take the lead.
Mm-hmm. And Linda, is an apology sufficient?
Our remorseful mumbling that we are sorry won't fill the bill at all.
And Jacqueline, a 2-part question. A, what should we do? And B, what should we not do?
We are to sit down with the family and frankly analyze the past as we now see it, being very careful not to criticize them.
Right. And Joanne, if they are messed up emotionally, who may be partly to blame?
Their defect may be glaring, but the chances are that our own actions are partly responsible.
And I've got the first of just a few comments tonight. The following is the fourth ninth step prayer, and it deals with our family.
Thank you, Trish. And Tanya, you have a three-part question. A, so what do we do? B, when do we ask? And C, for what do we ask?
Sorry, we're on their defects, right? Did I miss it?
So we clean house.
Oh, okay, sorry. So we clean house with the family, asking each morning in meditation that our Creator show us the way of patience, tolerance, kindliness, and love.
Right. Thank you. And Nancy, what is not a theory?
The spiritual life is not a feeling.
No. And Linda, what must we do?
We have to live it.
Thank you. And Jacqueline, what if the family doesn't care for our program?
Unless one's family expresses a desire to live upon spiritual principles, we think we ought not to urge them.
Right. And Rick, what should we not do?
We should not talk incessantly to them about spiritual matters.
Mhm. And Joanne, is there hope for them?
It will change in time.
Right. And Tanya, what will make an impression on them?
Our behavior will convince them more than our words.
Absolutely.
Again and again, we are reminded that this is a program of action.
Mhm. And Nancy, what must we remember?
Okay, we must remember that 10 or 20 years of drunkenness would make a skeptic out of anyone.
Absolutely. And Linda, can we right all wrongs?
There may be some wrongs we can never fully right.
Jacqueline, we don't worry about the wrongs we can't make right if what?
We don't worry about them if we can honestly say to ourselves that we would right them if we could.
And Rick, how do we make amends to those we cannot see?
Some people cannot be seen. We send them an honest letter.
In the 1930s and 40s, we did not have the means for communication that we have today: telephone, email, etc. That said, face-to-face is still best, whether in person or on virtual platforms. However, because of the nature of texting and misunderstanding through texts, texting may not be an effective form of making amends. While social media may be an appropriate way to find someone, would it be wise to post an amends on someone's social media page? Probably not, as it could harm them or others.
Okay, and Joanne, can we postpone in some cases?
And there may be a better reason for postponement. And there may be a better reason for postponement in some cases.
Thank you. And Tanya, if a delay can be avoided, do we wait?
But we don't delay if it can be avoided.
Right. And Nancy, in making our amends, we should be what?
We should be sensible, tactful, considerate, and humble without being servile or scraping.
Thank you. And Linda, you get the last question, and it's a two-parter. A, as God's kids, we do what? And B, what do we not do?
As God's people, we stand on our feet. We don't crawl before anyone.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody, all of our readers and everybody, helping out tonight. Okay, and we are open for sharing. If you have any experience with the pages read tonight, you're free to share. Please stay on topic and be mindful of time. You will see a 5-minute timer at the top of the screen. A friendly reminder, absence of profanity offends no one. We are now open for comments, questions, observations, and spiritual experiences based on the study material. Dental chair tonight.
Oh, Tanya's waving her hand at you.
Come on in, Tanya.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Trish and Seashell Pickle. Thank you so much for doing service, and I believe Kenny as well, and all of you. I like the reading, Tanya Alcoholic, grateful to be here and grateful to be sober and alive today. On page 82, I like the last paragraph that says alcoholic is like a tornado, and hearts are broken, sweet relationships are dead. And we feel a man is unthinking when he says that sobriety is enough. When I came to AA, my drinking career was 4 years, but it was long 4 years because a lot happened in those 4 years. And when I came to AA, I really thought that I had not done anything wrong. I was in denial. I was in denial that I was an alcoholic. I didn't understand anything about AA. Because I always thought I was a good girl. I was never in jail. I never stole anything. I felt that, those were bad things, but there were a lot of others. When it comes for me, the worst things, it says hearts are broken, sweet relationships are dead. My relationships were bad. I caused so much harm through them. And as we went through step 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all those steps, especially step 4 and 5, I realized, what damages I made, and I'm grateful that I was able to complete the steps and see my side. And today I focus on making sure that my side of the street is clean and to be self-aware. And I like that it says on page 83, yes, there's a long period of reconstructions I've had. Yeah, it was, but it gets better and better and better every day. More I work the program, it gets better and better. And those relationships are coming, getting stronger. And I was able to recover some relationships I lost, and people really come back. Their feedback is that I'm different, I'm better, I'm different. It's nice to be around you today. And thank you guys for teaching me that. Thank you for making me a better person today and keeping me alive, because I almost died due to this disease. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Larry's going to come in.
Hey, I'm
Hey.
Larry, and I'm an alcoholic. After reading this, I kind of, it took me back, because I know after messing 2 marriages up, all I could think of is they're wrong. My 2 wives and what they did wrong, that's all I could see is what their part in the marriage and what they did. And I really didn't see what my part, because my drinking wasn't every day back then, and a lot of it was hid. in my, especially my first marriage, she didn't even know I was drinking hardly, if any. And, but, and of course my second marriage, it did. But I still saw, I couldn't see how I had done so much. And, I definitely couldn't see how I had harmed my kids. They were grown when I left, and I couldn't see how I had harmed them because I was there for them growing up, and I was there at all their school events, and I was there through all their plays. I went to a lot of their field trips and other things, and so their years of growing. So when I left, after they had graduated from even a college, and they had gotten married, and I left home and disappeared from their lives and became a complete alcoholic, and they never heard from me for years and years and years. I didn't see the harm I was doing. They were adults, so how was that hurting them? Even though they didn't know if daddy was alive or dead, because they didn't know where I was. So but I couldn't see the harm. And when I got sober and I finally tried to and moved back home and tried to enter their lives, I found that I had hurt them deeply. They were very, very hurt, and it took years that they didn't trust that I would stay sober, that I would stay in their lives. They were waiting for the next shoe to fall and me to leave home and go off on my next adventure somewhere, and that they're not hear from me for a few years. But Alcoholics Anonymous allowed me an opportunity to show them that I was going to stick around, and I stayed sober, and I made a life here, and now we have a good relationship. And I called one of them today I said, hey, I made it to Lppbbsg, and if you don't get a hold of me, I gave them the phone number here so they can get up. I do stuff like that now with them, and because now we're a family, and she said, well, thank you. I'm glad to know you made it safe, and yeah. It's amazing how this program has put together the family again. And it's a miracle that, before I had, the relationship was dead, but now it's alive because of Alcoholics Anonymous and the relationship I have with the power greater than myself, which I call God. That's all I've got.
Thanks, Larry. Who's next? I'm going to start calling on people because I know everybody's name. Rick, you want to come in and share?
You saw me reaching for the button, man. Rick Alcoholic, is having some technical difficulties here with the two devices trying to shut off this TV, which won't shut off, and finally went on the floor and just unplugged the doggone thing, and this one, this this touch tone, volume button on this computer. I'm still liking the old log thing. Anyways, yeah, I was that guy that came out of the wine cellar, even though I never said that to my family and whoever was around at that time, and still are, thankfully. I felt nothing was wrong. All were always ticked off at me because I was coming home drunk, and I went and stopped drinking. Now I stopped drinking. I'm living with folks that, like I was still drinking. You know, I would tell my sponsor about it. Man, they always seem like they're on a tightrope and all that. And he says, well, they seen Rick not drink before, man. Yeah, but I'm doing these steps in order. I'm doing this. They know nothing about that. He says, they're not a dollar on it, and you don't seem to be going. They don't know. You have to make living amends. You have to. They want to see a rig that is getting better. And eventually the white knuckling from them stopped. That's what I call it today. I saw them do it, we talk about us white knuckling, and I saw a family white knuckling for a while, and I had to take it. My first sponsor used to say, he's the one that was taking me through this stuff when I started out. You gotta take it, man. You can't. That's what you do. And one night, we had just moved here to Delaware, and Boston. And I'd come home, and she'd get up out of her chair, come over to me, give me a kiss, and sniff in at the same time. I laugh about it now, but man, I wasn't laughing. At that time, I had two sponsors. I called them both, and they both told me the same thing in their own words, but she didn't do that in Boston. Well, she knows me, but she know what me to do. She know what she was doing up there. In Delaware, she knows nobody. She doesn't know where we're going. And well, she knows I'm going to meetings. It took some time for all that to stop from them. And it had to do with my involvement in this program, Turning to God, and asking him to help me and to accept that I was an alcoholic. I would say it. I wasn't drinking, and that was enough as far as I was concerned. You'll all learn to live with me this way. Well, I had to change. Change happened as I continued on this journey. So for me, I don't know. I think I'm going to give the rest of the few seconds to somebody else. I have to keep, to this day, I'm still cleaning house. Still, and they're fine now, but I still have to keep cleaning house. And, I'm looking at this 9-step prayer. So anyways, oh well, I guess I used up those last few seconds. And I'll shut up now. Thank you. Thank you guys for being here.
Should I just go?
Hi, Billy.
I, so we clean house with the family, asking each morning in meditation that our Creator show us the way of patience, tolerance, kindliness, and love. Those were concepts I did not know or understand when I first got here, but I have learned them and often share those concepts or some variation of them: kindness, compassion, love, or the short version, which is pour a little sugar on that. When working with others and especially newer people in the rooms that haven't yet figured out how to sweeten it before they vomit it. And reading the big book reminds me frequently to use those principles and be the person my higher power wants me to be, and not the person I used to be. And I am eternally grateful for that. That I think it has changed who I am in ways I never saw happening, and realized that it's been in my best interest. So grateful to be here, grateful to be anywhere.
Thanks, Billy. I'll go
And
ahead
Mrs.
and
Floopy, Little Miss Headbutt.
hi, Jacqueline.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jacqueline M, and I'm a recovered alcoholic. Thanks for this reading. Thanks for everybody's service. You know, they say, you know, I like this part where it says, if we have no such complication, there is plenty we should we have to do at home. Sometimes we hear an alcoholic say that the only thing he needs to do is to keep sober. Right. Certainly we must keep sober, because, you know, some of us, if we don't, we won't have no home at all, but, I have come to find out it's more to just staying sober here in Alcoholics Anonymous, There's much wrong with this alcoholic, I like this part, I was a tornado. I didn't realize it, but after I came in here and began to get in this literature, I realized that I was a tornado that just ruined people's lives. It was all about myself. I didn't care how they felt or anything. It was all about me. There was a lot of broken promises, broken hearts, relationships. I really didn't give a hoop about, and a lot of uprooted relationships. And it just comes back to early in our reading, where it talks about being selfish and considerate, of others. And there's like turmoil on it. It was all about self. And I guess it goes back to, like it says, it's much, much, much more wrong with this alcoholic. Thing has to be done much more, Start from thinking of just a big beginning, and I didn't find all of this out until, I took that first step. I was just didn't care about myself. And I know I had to go to meetings, I had to stay sober, but me to say, all the torture and the shame and harm that I've done to people, it's unthinking for me to feel as though that sobriety is just enough, I need to make some amends. This weakness about, taking a man, this part right here where it says, see his wife, after all of that stuff that we've been taking our family and our loved ones, other people's too. It says, even our spouses, our kids, I don't see anything the matter with here. It ain't a drain that the wind stopped blowing to the right stand. Well, ain't a drain that I stopped thinking, but it's still thing on, because the effect, I know I did, I affected my family in a lot of ways, a lot of ways. And, it says the spiritual life is not inferior. We have to live it. And I have the biggest program, I had the biggest program to stop action. I had to write some wrong that I just can't say I'm sorry, it's all about my behavior. And actually in my morning meditation to my creator to show me patience, tolerance, not just to myself, but to my family members too. All of this I should have worked from the steps before the previous steps. When it comes to things in my attitudes and things of that nature. By the time I get to this particular step here, my attitude and outlook toward not just life, but towards people and stuff that have changed. That's had awareness to suffer. Yeah, I'm keep coming back. Thank you.
Jamie?
Good evening, family. My name's Jamie, very grateful recovered alcoholic, and so happy to see all of you. And hey, don't forget to invite a frenemy to this meeting, because the message of what we do carries very well. Several things that I have to think about with this step, and the first thing is exactly how it is worded. May direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. And people oftentimes interchange the word wherever for whenever. Whenever is a day that does not exist in time. But wherever could be at the gas station, in Walmart, it could be anywhere. It could be at the Hollywood Bowl and at a concert, and all of a sudden you see someone that you wronged 20 years ago, and God's presenting an opportunity. So I'm going to tell you about a couple of mine, because I think that's part of this too. I didn't find my daughter and my ex-wife until I was 18 years sober. And God opened the door at the right time to not only reconnect, but to be able to make an amends. And there was a lot of pain, a lot of hurt there. My daughter still hurts from that. My first wife still probably hurts from my behaviors and the fact that she was married to me. However, to the best of my ability, I tried to clean my side of the street with them. Whether or not they forgive or accept it is entirely between them and God. But the fact that I took the action and did it in a proper way was my action of trying to set things right with them and to and setting things right with God. Another amends was to an ex-fiance from over 40 years ago. And we were two young kids. I'm about 6 years older than her, but we were two young kids, and we were both broken, and both of us recognized that. But she knew I was sober and understood what it is that I do in the program and everything, and I was able to make a proper amends to her. And through that, she started asking me about God and asking me about the one that I follow, the Son of God. And she came to find faith through her own life. And we became the best of friends 40 years later. The reason that that has great significance in my life is because in October she passed away. And, just at, I don't know, 63 years old or something like that. And I know that there was no wreckage from the past in our relationship that she left this world with. No hurt, no pain. It was all healing. And so what's the significance of that? The significance is, I don't care how long you've been sober, there is no timeline on God presenting opportunities to make amends. When I was married to my second ex-wife, which was one of us, and I was secretary of a group in Arkansas, and she would rob the bank every week to buy groceries, and I'd have to replace the money every week, and it was a vicious cycle, and it was not being a good trusted servant. And then one day there was no money to replace, and I was working, and it kind of fell by the wayside. But I got in contact with that group a year ago, and the GSR of that group, and I was able to make an amends to that group. And they said, one, they were blown away that I came forward, but and I told them the exact circumstances of it, but also they said, just the group feels if you really feel you need to make the financial amends, and they gave me the choice, then by all means take and just donate it to your local central office. And I said, okay, that's wonderful, but I had another idea for him. I said, in my group, we take big books to area assemblies and we donate them to go into corrections. And if it would be okay with you guys, that's what I'd like to do, is purchase, I don't know, the $300, $400, whatever it was that I owed in amends, and purchase those and take them to assembly to go into the prison system. And he said, man, that is perfect, because most of our guys have come out of prison. And that's where they found the message. And no, I did not use Primary Purposes money to do that. I used my own. Otherwise, I'd be having to make amends to you guys. A huge part of making amends, folks, is developing the willingness to not repeat the same behaviors. And what are the same behaviors? Well, we find those same behaviors on page 60 through 62. Being the writer, the actor, the director, the selfishness, the self-centeredness, the fear, the illusion, the delusion, all of that. We also find those repeated patterns and behaviors in our fourth column of our fourth step. That's the kind of stuff that I'm trying to give to God and to be free of, that I do in step 7. So there's a reason that we do these steps in the order that we do them, so that we can understand exactly what our role and our part is. And is looking at ourselves painful? Yep, sometimes it's very painful. But the truth is, if I don't have the willingness to look at myself and where I have done harms to others, I will continue to play the victim and blame others for my problems. And that's just isn't the truth. I am responsible for every decision I ever made since I picked up my first string. So it is important for me to bring harm to no one, to absolutely no one. Do I still make mistakes all the time? Absolutely. Do I still make mistakes in relationships? Absolutely. But today, I don't do anything intentionally to bring harm. And that is a huge part of it. And, you know, most of you knew my sponsor, and he and I were both of the belief that repentance and amends are akin to one another. In the idea of repentance is also the idea of not repeating the same behaviors that I have to repent for. So, you know, this truly is the pathway to freedom. Now, we talk about what is being a recovered alcoholic. It's being restored from that seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. And what produces that result? It's steps 3 through 9. So if I try and bypass step 9, chances are very good that I will never be recovered from the seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. Do I have amends to make in this world? I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. But if those people are dead, and I've looked for some of them, haven't been able to find them and all, I do believe that God will present the opportunity when the time is right. I also believe that in the meantime, I make the living amends by not living the life that I used to and go on with the purpose of just simply being one of God's kids, trying to help some of God's other kids. Thanks, everybody. Love you all. Have a magnificent holiday. Wish you all were here. And again, invite a friend. Invite a frenemy. Even if the person happens to be on your grudge list, invite them. Might not only change their life, but it'll definitely change yours. Thanks. God bless.
Thanks, Jamie. Who's next?
I'll jump in. I'm Trish. I'm an alcoholic. And, you know, I love the way that second question was written. What really stupid thing do we all too often hear from an alcoholic? And that was me. And the answer was sometimes we hear an alcoholic say the only thing he needs to do is to keep sober. And, you know, I said that for years and years and years about my family. Because in conversation with people, I had been told early on, your family's batshit crazy. There is potential for harm there with them if you make this amends. But as I got sober longer and as I started growing, having that secret hanging between just made us estranged. I didn't want to visit them. I didn't want to see them. I didn't see them as the supportive parents they were trying to be, but I wasn't letting them because I had the secret and they didn't know it. finally I got that willingness. And I realized just saying sobriety isn't enough because our relationship wasn't getting any better. And when I did sit down with them, yeah, I had to pray first to make sure I'm not just looking at their defects. They have them, they're human. My biggest defect was going the number of years I did without letting on to them that A, I was in the program, B, that's why I acted the way I did, and C, well, my drinking and then being in the program and not sharing it with them because I thought I didn't hurt them. But I didn't realize that by not saying anything to them, by not sharing them with them such a big part of my life, made it harder to have a relationship with them. And I had to do a lot of praying that God show me the way of tolerance or patience, tolerance, kindliness, and love, because I had reached a point with them that I didn't have any of that. 30 years in the program, and I had no patience or tolerance for my family because I was still living a lie in that part of in that part of my life. I felt at one point that I had made that amends because I had sent them a letter. But they didn't qualify as people who cannot be seen. They qualified as people who would not be seen because I would not go and see them. I would not go and be honest and let them see me for who I was. Yeah, I grew up in a judgy family and a family full of judgment. And I really felt if I had told them who I was and what I was, that there was not going to be any love there for me. And boy, was I wrong. We haven't had the conversation since, but we don't need to have it again because we had that. What I need to keep doing at this point now is to just continue being the daughter I should have been all along, keeping them as a part of my life, not hiding the things that I think might offend them or that I'm afraid to let them know about. And continue to love with that patience, tolerance, kindliness, and love that I started having with them. And, you know, it's been touched on. The spiritual life is not a theory. We have to live it. I had to start living that spiritual life and allow them into my life. And, you know, as I got honest with them, they got weller. But it had nothing to do with them. It all had to do with me and my attitude and what I was willing, and the fact that I was finally willing to let them know who I was. And all we can do now is move forward. I can't make up for lost time. But I do make extra effort now to see them when I can, to pick up the phone when I can, and not say, oh, I should call them. I haven't talked to them in a while. Nope, going on to something else. I make sure I keep that communication open because that's the only way now that I can continue making that living amends. I'm not going to keep apologizing over and over. There's no point. I've made the amends. It's time to move on. But what I can do is show in my behavior that I'm a different person. And that's all I got tonight. Thanks.
Thanks, Trish. Sheila, come on in. I actually have reception, I think. It's great. Sheila, alcoholic. Thank you for letting me share, and amazing meeting. I love this part of the book. I love every part of the book. I had to understand before I'd made my amends, and I'm going to talk about my mom because she was really my only family. And we were very estranged from each other. We would visit each other a few times a year, or I'd go stay on special occasions with her overnight from the time I was 16. But we were, you know, I terrified her. She was in terror with me. We would go anywhere, like we would go to dinner, or we get in a car, you know, or we'd go out to dinner, she'd give me these looks and these painful looks, and I interpreted them as angry, but they were painful. I had a lot of amends. She would make beautiful birthday cakes for me and dinners on special occasions, and I would just waste away. And I was, in my heart, I knew how loved I was, but
I had 62 years behind me when I came in. And during that, when I came in 2016 into the rooms, into a book and the steps on the wall, I started my steps. I finished them. It took me a year, but when I got to this step with my mom, I had in the beginning of my sobriety in 2016, she called me one day and asked me to take her shopping. She'd stopped driving. She was 90 minutes away from me. And I went and I was withdrawing from 50 years of alcohol. Somehow I got up there and got back, but I took her shopping, and this was way before my planned amends with my sponsor, or that step I wasn't up to that step. But when I did get to that step and I understood my job was to love unconditionally and altruistically with honest intentions, to have a calm heart, to bring my calm heart where God resides to my mother, and to touch her heart with my new found sobriety, spiritual sobriety. She started going into dementia about my second year of sobriety. And I became little by little, I was able to hear and receive directions, because I was able to clear my heart, of the guilt and the shame with my amends to her. And the way I did it was to, stay on my side of the street. Because my mom was not an angel by any means. Of course, no, everybody, there's two sides to every coin, but I stayed on my side of the street. I know I was not allowed to say sorry, my sponsor told me. It doesn't show integrity, but to be rigorous with humility, acknowledge the specific harm, and admit I was wrong, ask what can I do to make things right, and show integrity, and then ask forgiveness. And my mom, and then, she said to me, we were taking a walk. It was a beautiful afternoon. It was about 9 months in. It took me a while to get there. And she said, Sheila, you don't ever have to worry. I love you. And I see you're trying so hard. And that's where it was. And after that, I became a caregiver for my 7 years of sobriety until she passed. Working my program, meetings every day, but still going up there twice a week, and in my actions, to offer myself fully to God and to another human being. I was able to do that. And she passed in my arms, and she said, Sheila, I love you. And I brought her to God. Somebody shared that earlier. I brought my mother to God. She didn't believe in God. And in the end, she was praying with me. I have a picture that I took with her hand in mine in the last night before she passed. And there's a light. There's this golden light. And I have the picture to prove it. So I can clear myself to be of maximum use to God and another human being. And I am free, like Jamie said. I feel free. And also making amends to myself every day on a daily basis for what I did to my body, trying to take care of myself. That's another story for another time. But thank you so much for letting me share that.
Thank you, Sheila. I think we lost Lisa. There she is.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa. I'm an alcoholic. I'll come in for a couple minutes. Boy, this, the bottom of page 82. He is like the farmer who came up out of his cyclone cellar to find his own ruins. And don't see anything the matter here, Mom. Ain't it grand? The wind stopped blowing. I remember a couple years ago, first time I read that. I remember exactly where I was. I was an angry person. And I remember coming home and calling my sponsors Yes, just laying it all out. This person, how they hurt me, and you know, before I started a lot of this work, and you know, they start bringing it right back to me. You know, what am I doing? And I was like, don't you see what this person did to me? And boy, how things have changed. Boy, it's something. Just reading about me. You know, I never thought I was the tornado. I saw both sides. I lived both sides of this coin. You know, I thought I made some mistakes, but most of it wasn't on me. I was that tornado. And from doing this work, I'm able to see that now and make amends. You know, last week I picked up and did a little writing. And those 4 wonderful words there, I saw in big letters, big bold letters written in my book, in my writing book. Patience, tolerance, kindliness, and love. And I remember that day too, when Jamie said, Lisa, go get a pen. And I did. And I opened to that last week. I didn't know I was, but I did. When Trish suggested pen to paper, and I never want to, but I did. And it helps. Every time it helps. It's just really amazing. Like I said, I went back to 2 years ago tonight, and I was pretty angry, but I just couldn't see. I couldn't see these things until I did this work. And, you know, started cleaning up my side of the street and looking at Lisa. You know, I was the one who thought, well, I'm not even going to say sobriety, that not drinking was enough. It wasn't for me. It was doing this work and this book and God and my wonderful sponsors and my family here. And I'm forever grateful. And, you know, if you're thinking about it, don't think. You'll think your way right out of it, like I did many times. And like it says, you'll be amazed before you're halfway through. And boy, I was. And I want to thank you all, and thank you for everybody for your service. And that's it for me. Thank you.
I see no more hands, so I'm going to come in with our closing. Oops, let me turn this off so it doesn't beat me in the middle. And from our page 164, our book is meant to be suggestive only. We realize we know only a little. God will constantly disclose more to you and to us. Ask him in your morning meditation what you can do each day for the man who is still sick. The answers will come if your own house is in order. But obviously you cannot transmit something you haven't got. See to it that your relationship with him is right, and great events will come to pass for you and countless others. This is the great fact for us. Abandon yourself to God as you understand God. Admit your faults to him and to your fellows. Clear away the wreckage of your past. Give freely of what you find and join us. We shall be with you in the fellowship of the Spirit, and you will surely meet some of us as you trudge the road of happy destiny. May God bless you and keep you until then. And we will go ahead and close out with the Lord's Prayer in our usual pickle fashion with our hands up in the screen so that we can connect with each other since we can't stand around the table and hold hands. And we'll take a moment of silence for those still suffering inside and outside of these rooms, and then we'll follow that with the Lord's Prayer. So here's your moment. Thank you. And who brings us from shame to grace if we let him? Our Father,
Our Father,
who art in
who art
heaven,
in heaven,
hallowed be thy
hallowed be
name.
thy name.
Thy kingdom
Thy
come,
kingdom come.
thy will be
Thy
done
done
on earth
on
as it
earth
is in
as it
heaven.
is in heaven.
Give us this
Give us
day
this
our
day
daily
our
bread,
daily bread.
and forgive us our
Forgive us our
trespasses,
trespasses,
as we forgive
as we
those who
forgive those who
trespass against
trespass
us.
against us.
And lead us
And lead
not
us
into
not into
temptation,
temptation,
but deliver
but
us from
deliver
evil.
us from evil.
For thine is the
For thine
kingdom,
is the
the
kingdom,
power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Thanks, everybody. Good
Thank you.
Thanks,
meeting.
folks.
Great
Good to
meeting.
see
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Good to see you, Rick.
ya.
Thank you. Happy 4th of July.
Thank you,
You too, Rick.
Same to you.
Good to see ya.
you.